Page 4 now. The branch of government that is putting itself above the law. Impeachment. It is the contention of these constitutional midgets in the Nancy Pelosi-led House of Representatives that the Democrat majority can define what is an impeachable offense however it chooses. Of course, many of these anti-Trump buffoons quote former President, then Congressman Gerald Ford. 38th President of the United States said while he was in Congress that impeachment is whatever Congress says it is. Well, Ford was wrong then, and he's still wrong today. Impeachment is well defined in the founding document: treason, bribery, and high crimes and misdemeanors. And yes, Congress can impeach a president for non-violations of the law. For example, failing to complete constitutionally delineated tasks of the president, like nominating a Supreme Court justice when there is an opening. If a president failed to do so, then he could be impeached for that. However, today, unfortunately, we are witnessing the reemergence of the Ford constitutional misinterpretation. We are hearing from these great constitutional scholars like the Congresswoman from Southern California, Maxine Waters. She is saying that impeachment is, quote, whatever we say it is. Like Ford, Waters is just plain wrong as well as being constitutionally ignorant. For these misguided statements to be accurate, then the founding document would have left the definition of impeachment vague. Maladministration was the initial terminology that defined impeachment, but James Madison objected to it on the grounds that maladministration is too vague. And so George Mason changed the wording to high crimes and misdemeanors. In other words, the language defining an impeachable offense is clear. Bill Clinton was impeached because he violated the law multiple times. Andrew Johnson was impeached because he violated a statute, the Tenure of Office Act, which, ironically, 50 years later, was properly found to be unconstitutional. But Donald Trump is not being charged with a crime. What's more, he's not being charged with treason or bribery. He's being impeached for whatever reason Waters and company say. And because of that, this House of Representatives is placing itself above the Constitution. The Democrats are accusing the president of exactly what they are doing. Therefore, by charging Donald Trump with non-impeachable offenses, it is the Nancy Pelosi-led House of Representatives, one half of one-third of government, not the 45th president, that is putting itself above the law. And the person putting himself above the law and above the Constitution, more than even Nancy Pelosi, is the demented congressman from Southern California, Adam Schiff.
So it's really an argument to say that the president should be able to unilaterally decide whether and when he can be impeached.
Stop tape. Okay, so what Adam Schiff is talking about here and referring to here is judicial review. That is, being able to petition the courts to adjudicate an argument. And in this case is whether the Article I branch of government can compel the Article II branch of government to produce witnesses and documents. And so Adam Schiff is making an argument against judicial review, which is one of the pillars, one of the three pillars that this constitutional republic stands upon. The Article I branch, the legislature, the Congress, the Article II branch, the chief executive, and the Article III branch, the courts. Judicial review is inherent in our constitutional republic and our representative democracy. And so here's Adam Schiff making an argument against it, saying that effectively the President of the United States would then control impeachment if judicial review were allowed to go forward. This guy is constitutionally out of his mind. And for him to stand there and quote, as he has, the Nixon case, the Nixon tapes, he's totally distorting what went on with Richard Nixon in the 1970s and the way the courts approached that. And it's very simple, but he's conflating it and he's confusing it so the American people don't have the clear picture. Here is the clear picture. It's fairly simple. They went to court to compel the President of the United States to produce the recordings that were the center of the impeachment case. And the court, after much consternation and review of the law and the Constitution, decided that the Nixon tapes could be presented as evidence in criminal trials that have nothing to do with impeachment. The courts did not say to the Article II branch, i.e. Richard Nixon, you must take those tape recordings to the Article I branch of government for evidence to be used against you in an impeachment trial or an impeachment inquiry. That's not what transpired. What transpired was the court saying, you know what? Yes, there is executive privilege. Yes, it exists, and it exists in certain circles. But when we are trying to adjudicate a case in court, a criminal case in court, executive privilege does not apply. So, Mr. Nixon, you must turn over these tape recordings to the court for these criminal trials, not for Adam Schiff, not for the Democrats to use decades later as a ploy against the 45th President of the United States. That's not what transpired. That certainly was not the intention of the court. And I think that if the Bolton matter, for example, or the Mulvaney matter, was ever allowed to work its way through the courts, and the Democrats don't want this to happen. It's not just a time element thing. It's because they would be wrong. They would be slapped down constitutionally. If these cases were ever allowed to work their way through the courts and up to the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court, even the John Roberts Court, that's got a lot of liberals on there, including at times John Roberts himself, I believe that the court would find the Article I branch wrong, that it could not compel the Article II branch, the President of the United States, to produce Mick Mulvaney and John Bolton, both key members of the President's inner circle. It would be a violation of the separation of powers, a complete and total violation of one of the main tenets of our founding document. So here we are. Here we are. The 45th President of the United States is being impeached for non-impeachable offenses. And Schiff and the rest of the Democrat radicals on Capitol Hill know it. But at this point, the question is, do all Republican members of the United States Senate comprehend this? And will they vote accordingly?
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.